Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Venezuela's Maduro accuses US of criminal piracy as Trump signals strikes. US military activity rises near Puerto Rico. Severe flooding hits Washington. Governor warns of historic risk as 100,000 residents face evacuation. De Kock's 90 steals South Africa's win in the second T20 International as Tilak Verma's 50 falls short. Series levelled 1 each. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro condemned the U.S. for seizing a sanctioned tanker carrying nearly 1.9 million barrels of crude, calling the operation criminal naval piracy. He accused Washington of militarily taking a private Venezuelan vessel near Grenada.
Absolutamente criminal.
Yesterday, they committed an absolutely criminal and illegal act when they proceeded to carry out a military assault, kidnapping, and robbery like Pirates of the Caribbean on a private civilian commercial merchant ship. They kidnapped the crew, they stole the ship, and have already given sufficient instructions for all the necessary legal and diplomatic actions to be taken and measures to be implemented.
The tanker seizure is the first known Venezuela-related action taken by the Trump administration since its major military build-up in the region. It comes as Trump continues to float the idea of military intervention and has recently threatened strikes on overland drug smuggling routes. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said that the US will soon begin strikes to interdict the narcotic shipments making their way from Venezuela to the United States via land routes.
They've treated us badly, and I guess now we're not treating them so good. If you look at the drug traffic by sea is down 92%. And nobody can figure out who the 8% is because I have no idea. Anybody getting involved in that right now is not doing well. And we'll start that on land, too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
The U.S. issued new sanctions on Thursday, targeting 3 nephews of Maduro's wife and several oil tankers and shipping companies tied to them, intensifying pressure on Caracas. The move coincided with a major U.S. military buildup in the southern Caribbean and Trump's push to remove Maduro from power. The U.S. Treasury announced sanctions on 6 shipping companies and 6 oil tankers accused of using deceptive, unsafe practices to transport Venezuelan crude and financially support Maduro's narco-terrorist regime. Amid escalating tensions with Venezuela, U.S. Marines and Coast Guard helicopters were spotted at Ponce, Puerto Rico airfield on Thursday, reflecting Washington's ongoing Caribbean military buildup. A Coast Guard helicopter was seen flying near the airport, while several tilt-rotor Ospreys landed, taxied, and took off from the tarmac. The increased aircraft activity in Puerto Rico reflects the U.S. ramping up its military presence in the region. U.S. President Donald Trump said that the United States will send a representative to participate in talks in Europe on Ukraine this weekend if there's a good chance of making progress on a ceasefire deal, as Kyiv said that Washington was still pushing it to make major territorial concessions as part of its plan to end the nearly 4-year conflict.
I thought that we were very close with Russia to having a deal. I thought we were very close with Ukraine to having a deal. In fact, other than President Zelensky, his people loved the concept of the deal. You know, we threw something. Well, there's a meeting on Saturday. We'll see whether or not we attend the meeting. We said we'll attend the meeting if we think there's a good chance of they want me to attend. They want us to attend. And we'll be attending the meeting on Saturday in Europe if we think there's a good chance. And we don't want to waste a lot of time. We think it's negative.
Washington wants only Ukraine, not Russia, to withdraw its troops from parts of the eastern Donetsk region, where a demilitarized free economic zone would be installed as a buffer between the two armies. Under the latest US plan, Moscow would also stay where it is in the south of the country, but pull some of its troops out of Ukrainian regions that Russian President Vladimir Putin has not claimed to have annexed in the north. Ukraine has been revising the original US proposal and this week sent a 20-point counter-proposal to Washington, the full details of which have not been published. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Kyiv had spoken with the United States about possible security guarantees for Ukraine, adding that both sides were working on a framework that must be strong enough to truly work. Zelensky also lauded that security guarantees would be impossible without Europe and all members of our coalition of the willing, from Canada to Japan, Australia and New Zealand, and that coordination was needed. He added that Kyiv had also discussed with the US officials what American involvement could look like in an economic agreement tied to Ukraine's recovery and post-war deployment.
About an hour ago, we had conversation with the United States team about possible security guarantees for Ukraine, and we are working on a framework document, and it must be strong enough to truly work. We believe this document should be approved by the United States Congress. This would mean real, solid, legally binding security guarantees for our country.
US President Donald Trump signed an executive order that will allow artificial intelligence to work within a single national framework in the country. The Trump administration has long been pushing for a single national regulation that would overlook the AI industry instead of allowing Democratic-controlled states like New York and California from trying to influence the industry with their own set of laws. This latest move by the Trump administration comes amid AI companies opening up new offices in the vicinity of the US Capitol and even launching a political super action committee, which will be spending around $100 million in the 2026 midterm elections. The US Senate on Thursday rejected rival Republican and Democratic plans aimed at averting a major healthcare crisis, leaving around 24 million Americans at the risk of steep insurance premium hikes once a federal subsidy expires on 1st of January. With Congress set to leave for its holiday recess next week and not return until January 5th, new premium rates will take effect without the expired Affordable Care Act subsidy. Each party blocked the other's proposal in largely partisan votes. The House may try passing its own bill, but it is unlikely to survive in the Senate. The stalemate has created uncertainty for many renewing ACA coverage. Democrats sought a 3-year extension of COVID-era subsidies, while President Trump ultimately backed the Republican Cassidy-Crapo plan. Latest in a show of force following Chinese and Russian drills in the skies, US nuclear-capable bombers flew over the Sea of Japan alongside Japanese fighter jets on Wednesday. Japan and the US reaffirmed their strong resolve to prevent any unilateral attempt to change the status quo by force and confirmed the readiness posture of both the self-defense forces and the US forces. The flight of 2 US B-52 strategic bombers with 3 Japanese F-35 stealth fighters and 3 F-15 air superiority jets was the first time the US had asserted its military presence since China began military exercises in the region last week amid heightened tensions between Tokyo and Beijing. Both Japan and South Korea host US forces, with Japan home to the biggest concentration of American military power overseas, including an aircraft carrier strike group and a US Marine Expeditionary Force. Bangladesh will vote on February 12th to elect a new parliament, its first national election since a student-led uprising forced the then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee the country last year. An interim administration led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has since governed the South Asian country, but has been grappling with rising discontent over delays in promises and promised reforms, fueling fresh protests and political division. For the 13th National Parliamentary election, voting will take place from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in all the 300 constituencies. More than 127.6 million voters are eligible to participate in the election. Bangladeshi expatriates will be able to cast ballots via postal voting, and over 300,000 overseas voters have registered so far. A referendum on implementing the July National Charter will be held on the same day. The simultaneous scheduling of the national election and the referendum marks a rare political moment as the country prepares for a pivotal decision on both leadership and constitutional direction. Heavy rains have triggered major flooding across western Washington state, submerging roads, cutting power, and prompting school closures. Western Washington is facing widespread flooding after days of heavy rain from a powerful atmospheric river. Roads, farmlands, and neighborhoods have been inundated, with authorities warning that rivers could reach historic flood levels. Drone footage from Snohomish shows homes encircled by floodwaters as emergency crews used inflatable boats to rescue residents from the waist-deep water. Officials warn more rain is on the way and alerts remain in place as rivers and creeks continue to spill over their banks, cutting off access to several communities. Across the border in Canada, the Chilliwack River also swelled, triggering highway closures and evacuation orders. Cast members of the new film Avatar, A Fire and Ash, posted near London's Tower Bridge, standing before a giant burning letter A to mark the movie's global launch. The third installment picks up after the events and the shocking death in Avatar, The Way of Water. With a massive fan base and strong franchise momentum, industry watchers expect Fire and Ash to dominate the global box office. The film begins its worldwide theatrical rollout on December 17th. Pilgrims in Mexico have been walking for days to reach the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, following forest paths at the foot of the Popocatépetl volcano. Every year, millions make this journey for the feast day, traveling miles to show devotion, offer prayers, fulfill promises, or seek blessings from the Virgin Mary. Many complete the pilgrimage by crawling or carrying heavy religious icons as a sign of faith and sacrifice. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado visited the Nobel Peace Center in Oslo on Thursday evening, where a new annual photo exhibition honors this year's laureate. The Venezuelan opposition leader arrived in the city early on Thursday, but was unable to reach in time for the formal prize ceremony held earlier in the day. Guatemalan indigenous singer-songwriter Sara Kuruchich takes the center stage with powerful energy, using her music to call out racism and discrimination. The Maya artist blends Spanish and Cachical, her mother tongue, to share stories of love and the long fight of indigenous communities across the continent. Her performances have become a platform for cultural pride and resistance. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, probe into the Goa club fire incident continues. Two brothers involved in the tragedy arrested in Thailand. Unfazed by Fed rate cut, major stock indices mostly rose, with Dow Jones and S&P 500 posting record closing highs. Christmas fervor grips metropolitan cities and small towns alike across the world. Stay with us for a quick glance.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a three-nation visit from December 15th to 18th. Prime Minister Modi will visit Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman. In the first leg, Prime Minister Modi will visit Jordan at the invitation of King Abdullah II bin Al Hussein from December 15th to 16th. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will meet King Abdullah II bin Al Hussein. Both leaders will review the entire gamut of relations between India and Jordan and exchange perspectives on regional issues. This visit marks the 75th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. In the second leg, Prime Minister Modi will pay a state visit to Ethiopia at the invitation of Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed Ali, from December 16th to 17th. This will be Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Ethiopia. During the visit, he will hold wide-ranging discussions with Ethiopian Prime Minister on all aspects of India-Ethiopia bilateral ties. And in the final leg, Prime Minister Modi will visit Oman from 17th to 18th of December at the invitation of Sultan Haitham bin Tariq. This will be the second visit of Prime Minister Modi to Oman. The visit will mark 70 years of establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries, and this will be an opportunity for both the sides to comprehensively review the bilateral partnership. With an aim to sustain a secure and safe maritime environment, the inaugural session of India-Greece Maritime Security Dialogue was held on December 11th in Athens, Greece. In the presence of Greek Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Alexander Papadopoulou, and Joint Secretary of India's Ministry of External Affairs, Moapui Sayawi, the two sides exchanged assessment of the maritime environment in the Mediterranean, Arctic and the Indo-Pacific regions. They conferred on ways to sustain a secure and safe maritime environment conducive to economic growth and prosperity through bilateral cooperation as well as engagement in multilateral fora. Both sides expressed willingness to take this relationship further on all fronts in the maritime domain and agreed to hold the next round of talks at a mutually convenient date in New Delhi on achievement of the agreed deliverables of this historical inaugural dialogue. India and Liberia on Thursday signed an MOU pharmacopoeia to promote shared quality standards and regulatory alignment. Now, the agreement signed by Ambassador Manoj Bihari Verma and Health Minister Dr. Louise M. Poto will support improved access to safe and affordable medicines. The agreement enables Liberia to use the Indian pharmacopoeia for medicine quality standards, improves regulatory collaboration, and also supports access to safe, effective, and affordable medicines. This is a significant step forward in India-Liberia health partnership. Charting the roadmap for strengthening economic partnership, India and Italy signed Joint Commission for Economic Cooperation, that is JCEC, protocol on Thursday. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Italy, Antonio Tajani, and India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal also witnessed the signing of industry agreements across various sectors between both the sides. At the joint address to the press, the Indian minister reiterated the significance of deepening India-Italy cooperation by expanding trade, boosting investment, enhancing industrial collaboration, and leveraging the broader India-EU engagement to unlock new opportunities. Moving on to updates on the Goa club fire tragedy, the two brothers linked to the Goa nightclub fire that killed 25 people have been detained in Thailand, adding that the process to deport them to India to face trial has been initiated. The External Affairs Ministry is examining a request from the Goa government to revoke the passports of Gaurav Luthra and Saurabh Luthra, co-owners of the Birch by Romeo Lane nightclub in North Goa. The brothers left India shortly after the December 6 blaze in Arpora, for which an Interpol Blue Corner notice has been issued already at the behest of the CBI. Meanwhile, a court in Goa on Thursday sent Ajay Gupta, who claimed to be a silent partner and investor in the fire-ravaged Burj by Romeo Lane nightclub, to police custody for 7 days. A devastating incident has been reported near Chaglagam in Arunachal Pradesh's Anjao district, where a dumper carrying labourers skidded off a narrow mountain road and plunged into a deep gorge. The tragedy occurred on the high-altitude Hyoliang Chaglagam road at an elevation of over 10,000 feet. Casualties include 21 labourers from Assam. Their vehicle rolled down the steep slope while they were travelling towards Chat Poraghar in Tinsukia district. Local authorities described the terrain very treacherous, making rescue efforts dangerous and painfully slow. Till now, 17 bodies of the workers have been recovered and 1 person is alive and 4 workers are still missing. The district disaster management officer is coordinating rescue and recovery efforts. A preliminary list of 19 deceased workers has been compiled. They are all residents of Assam. Rescue teams at the site are facing difficulties as officials warn that retrieval may take considerable time due to the depth of the gorge and lack of specialized recovery equipment. Once recovered, the bodies will be transported to Tinsukia for identification and post-mortem examinations. The incident has sparked widespread grief across the victims' home villages in Assam. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur district is witnessing a growth in organic farming and pickle production, transforming lives of women, youth and farmers in the region. The district is now witnessing renewed agricultural growth, bringing both economic relief and optimism to the district. 110 black soft-shell turtle hatchlings were released in Biswanath Wildlife Division of Kaziranga National Park on Thursday. The initiative focuses on rescuing turtle eggs, incubating them under safe environment and releasing healthy hatchlings to support the recovery of black soft-shell turtle population in the region. Uttar Pradesh police conducted coordinated raids across 4 villages of Mathura city on Thursday in a crackdown on cyber crime networks, detaining 42 suspects. Cyber experts are analyzing data recovered from seized mobile phones and further legal action will be taken based on the findings. A quick look at business updates now. Major stock indices mostly rose on Thursday, with Dow Jones and S&P 500 posting record closing highs, while dollar and US bond yields extended declines from the day before, when the Federal Reserve cut interest rates but gave a less hawkish outlook than expected. It was S&P 500's first record high close in over a month as investors shifted to sectors including financials and materials, amid worries about the valuation of high-flying artificial intelligence stocks. The US dollar slumped, hitting multi-month lows against the euro, Swiss franc and sterling and extending losses from the previous session. From business, we now turn focus to sports. South Africa has defeated India by 51 runs in the second T20 match played at New Chandigarh. Chasing a target of 214 runs, India was bowled out for 162 in 19.1 overs. South Africa's batsmen starred with a ball, claiming 4 wickets. India's batting faltered early as Shubman Gill fell for a duck, followed by Abhishek Sharma for 17 and captain Suryakumar Yadav for 5. Akshar Patel contributed 21 runs, but wickets kept tumbling at regular intervals. Earlier, India had won the toss and opted to bowl first. South Africa posted 213 for 4 in 20 overs, powered by Quinton de Kock's 90 and Donovan Ferreira's 30. For India, Varun Chakravarti picked up 2 wickets for 29 runs. With this result, the 5-match series is now levelled at 1 each. The International Hockey Federation has announced that Chile, Egypt and India will host the FIH Hockey World Cup 2026 qualifiers. Now, these events are the final gateway to next year's World Cup in Belgium and the Netherlands, scheduled from 15 to 30th of August 2026. In Santiago, Chile, both men's and women's teams from top nations will compete. Hyderabad, India will stage the women's qualifiers, while Ismailia in Egypt will host the men's event. The top 3 teams from each tournament qualifies directly, while the best ranked 4th place finishers also advance. They will join the 18 teams already confirmed for the hockey's biggest stage. From London to New York and small towns across England, communities around the world are lighting up for Christmas. Home and city streets are transforming into festive displays as families, charities and local traditions come together to celebrate the holiday season. Take a look.
Rudolph takes the credit.
That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.